to Conquering Mount Scrapper with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here today with another episode of Quilt Bingo! Yay! And today we're doing English paper piecing. That's right, EPP. So I was very happy to show you this one here, and it's one of my favorite ways. It's a good hurry up and wait kind of appointment if you have lots of doctor appointments or hospital appointments. A good one to take with you, and when you hurry and then have to wait for somebody, because it's very portable. Anyways, but before we get started, let's do our shout outs. Penelope at Penelope Handmade and Rachel at Stitch with Rachel. You get 2 shout outs, and they're both their YouTube channels are going to be in our show notes today. They're both having so much fun over on their channels. It's like, wow, we're you know, it's really awesome that when you find people that are having fun and enjoying the quilting, and they're teaching and they're showing you stuff, and it's all good. It's all good. Go give them some words of encouragement and let them know that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. Our next so long is Twinkle Twinkle, and your first clue that comes, and it's coming after Quilt Bingo, your first clue is save your strings. And if you don't like strings and you really hate strings and you're anti-strings, or you don't have enough strings, or you're just starting out, you can cut this from your regular fabric. It's okay. Or your scraps. Use your scraps up first, but yeah, it's going to be another fun, quick little sew. And it's just, and I think I've made it for like 2 sizes, queen and a twin. And maybe a couch too. I can't remember now. I have to go back and look at it again. But it is coming, and I'm very excited that it's coming. Mini Monday hopefully is also back by the time you're seeing this. We're doing this on Thanksgiving weekend, Canadian Thanksgiving. So it's like October 10th or 11th or something when we're filming this today. So it is coming back in a little bit change of a format. We've had so many requests for it. We thought, okay, we'll just go for it, and we'll do some more Mini Monday. Now, the Mini Monday is a little different than the foundation paper piecing. We're going to do some hand piecing, some foundation paper piecing, EPP maybe, and some small piecing. So it's going to be more instructional about how to manage your small piecing, right? But it's going to be a lot of fun, and some of those blocks are really pretty. I'm working with a gray and pink palette, so I'm quite happy. Also, the Zoom sew dates, the first Saturday of the month. And it's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm in Alberta, Canada, so we just have so much fun on those Zoom sew dates. And if you want to come and you don't have anything to sew that day, bring your knitting, crocheting, whatever. We're more including people than excluding people. So it's a great place to come hang out. Making comments, share, like, subscribe, hitting that bell, putting a thumbs up, that helps our analytics so much. And our analytics are showing that half of you that are viewing this aren't subscribed. So if you aren't subscribed, please do. We would love to hear from you. Making comments too. We love to hear what people have to say. So this is also really good for us too, right? So yeah, just make your comments and we'd be happy to chat back with you. Now, we also have a Facebook group that has a virtual sewing room hosted by Discord. There's numerous community chats. We do fabric exchanges by country to reduce postal costs. And the admins of the Facebook group have asked me to say, you must answer the questions and you must agree to the rules. And if you want in on that Facebook group, because there's all sorts of fun stuff going on there all the time, but answer the questions and agree to the rules. Because that's important, because they're not allowing people that aren't answering questions or aren't agreeing. So that's it. Now, I also speak for free, and right now I have a speaking presentation for elements of design, working with scrap fabrics and making charity quilts, right? So now, as of December of 2025, the end, I should have my second one finished. I just got to get all the photos done for it now. And, you know, it's going to be a fun little one. I'm not telling you what it's about just yet, but I will at some point here. Also, shout outs. If you guys are seeing some quilting channel that's having fun, please send me the link. I'm really lousy at looking up stuff, and tell me about them, right? So I would love to give other quilting channels a shout out. Now, you can get a hold of me either by my email, which is in the About tab, or you can go message me through the Facebook group for either the speaking engagements or the shout outs. I'm very quick on Facebook, not so quick on email anymore. But anyways, yes, I think we're done. Come on in. Let's get to the sewing of EPP. Okay, we're here. We're gonna do some hand sewing. First off, I'm gonna show you how to do your create your little hexagons. Now that pattern shows the fabric and then it shows the sewing line, right? Now these are 1-inch hexies, and hexies traditionally are measured from point to point, not across this way, but just from here to here, right? So these are all 1-inch hexies. Now you can draw them out, or you can get them, you know, from your the pattern I gave you, or you can do, Fiskars has a punch that makes a 1-inch hexie, but they're measuring this hexie from point to point, and I think it's like almost 2 inches. It's the large one that they do. They also have a smaller one, which is 0.75 inch from point to point. That also works. You know, you could also do your hexies that way. But you can make your own hexie papers. Like, you don't need to go buy them, right? This with one of these things. But if you want to buy them, you can. I mean, English paper piece, there's lots of things now with English paper piecing. Now, thread conditioner. Yes, you're going to need a good quality thread. And I just use gray, right? Sometimes you might need a little bit more. I have a bunch of crappy donated thread that I thread based with. You can also use glue. I just use the Elmer School glue, and you can pick up a big package of them right at September. You can also use those pens for English paper piecing. It's entirely up to you. But there's a lot of stuff in here. I should probably put that away. So anyways, so where we're going to start? We're going to start first off, because we've got a collection of stuff here. I'm just going to throw those back in because I've got my... So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our shape, right? Now this is this is freezer paper. Freezer paper has a dull side and a shiny side. What I did is I took the shiny sides, both shiny sides, and glued and ironed them together, right? Now this is going to create that cardboard, and it's got some weight to it, right? So then I'm just going to line this up. So I get, there, and it just punches out like that, right? These are these things. Now if you don't have one of these punches, you're going to have to hand draw or print them or whatever on this kind of paper and then cut them out by hand. And it is doable, right? So, I mean, I will save this for other pieces of EPP that I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put all this stuff aside. Now, with this, if I go like this, you can see there's big corners and gaps and all the rest of this, right? I should probably put this on a white background. You can see it a little better. See, and there's a bunch of stuff that's a little bit over. It's okay. You can trim that right to 1/4 inch, but if once you've got these forms fit, or, you know, punched, you can do whatever is making you happy. Now, what I do, this is not what everybody does, what I do is I just, you know, open this up just a bit and put a little dot of Elmer School glue in the center. And then I place it down on my fabric and give it a good little smushing. Now, this is where the arguing starts for guys that love to do English paper piecing. There's some schools of thought that say you should, oh, this has got conditioner on it, that you should fold your fabric over this way, right? Just like this, and go through that fabric and the paper and come out the other side. You can, if you want. You can do that if you want. That's fine. What I do is I just twist this over just like this, and I catch both pieces of fabric, not the paper, right? And I thread baste this way. Now, if you're one that has those cool little glue sticks, or that they have in the little pen things, I've shown them before, you can use that if you want. I just found that for all of the English paper piecing that I was doing and making hexies, I just found it really expensive, where I get a lot of donated thread that's not really great, right? Like, this is not great quality, but it's not showing on the front. It doesn't show up in the seams. All it's doing is holding the corners in place. Now, I put 2 stitches through because I can. And I have lots of this thread I can get rid of that way. And, you know, you just make it tight. Not tight enough to bend the paper, but tight enough so that the fabric is secure on the hexie. Now, my friend Ray, I did not think of this. My friend Ray taught me how to do this way. Now, she said she does a lot of beautiful, oh my God, beautiful English paper piecing. She does, just incredible. And what she does is she does it this way. And you, at the end of this, you don't have to pull out all the thread because there's no thread showing on the front, right? Now the traditional way is where you have the thread showing on the front, right? And now the people who love the glue method on these little forms, they want that glue to hold everything in place, right? Well, what I'm going to suggest to you is you do you, whatever makes you happy and whatever makes sense to you, you go do, right? I mean, I've been doing, ever since I got shown how to do this, yes, I have been doing this because the traditional method, once you finish your sewing your flower and all this stuff and you're getting ready to take out your papers, you got to take all the thread out first. And wow, is that a lot of work, and you're covered with thread. So this is how I get my hexie or any other EPP pattern ready. Now, if I'm doing long seams, I go back to the very traditional way of thread basting through the paper and both layers of fabric, right? So, you know, it's kind of like for these little things, these little guys, it's just fun to do this, and you can make up something really cute. Now, getting into the sewing, now I suggested a wreath, right? I decided, okay, let's play with a wreath idea, you know, like it's kind of a cute little way to, you know, make a little round thing and something a little different. I didn't want to show you just a flower because a flower would be, you know, you can make your own flowers. You can do that yourself. Now, I use one length of thread, so I've got the knot at the end, right? Not two knots at the, you know, like double. I don't double it, I single it, and I use Orifil thread like you saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this joint right here. Now we start, because I am right-handed, I'm going to start because I sew from right to left. If you're left-handed, you sew from left to right. So basically you're sewing from your dominant hand to your non-dominant hand. And I'm just going to take this, here, I'll show you right up close. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you the why, because that's what messes people up too sometimes, is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to flip it over like that, and take everything and line it all up. Now you can use a clip. I have used little binder clips, but you can use those little plastic clips, or those Stay Tights, magnets. I mean, whatever you like to use. The Stay Tight magnets are really cool because they don't have anything to get hooked up on, right? But you know what I'm talking about, those little clips, those magic plastic clips. Now, the knot goes under the fabric and then comes out at the point. And now, to keep your joint really tight, you put 3 stitches pretty much in the same place. Right? And then you move, and that also creates another little knot, right? So yes, my EPP is a real pain in the tuchus to take apart because I've got knots everywhere. But yeah, so you make sure that your thread, this is another thing, don't make your thread longer than your elbow to your finger, doubled, right? Like you double it. And you don't make it longer than your middle finger to your elbow, because then you've got you're pulling too much thread through, right? So this is a little long, but I could probably shorten it by shortening the thread up. There we go, just like that. Just shorten it up a bit. And then you just whip stitch. That's basically, you're doing a little whip stitch along the edge. You put it in on one side, poke it out the other, and then you keep doing that. Now, some EPP people do a ladder stitch, and they work with the pieces flat. And if you can do that, you obviously should be teaching the course, because, oh my gosh, Yeah. Now, I have a funny story to tell you. Sandy, one of the admins in our Facebook group, I told, oh, she just hates English paper piecing, and she just didn't really like the process, and it was, some people find EPP very fiddly, right? And some people aren't happy with fiddly. They want something different than fiddly. So I told her, I said, push comes to shove, you can make these by sewing machine. If you really, really, truly hate, and, you know, because it's your quilt, you do what you want, you know, kind of thing. And she was like, oh, okay. So the beginner pattern, I had triangles. And for some reason, I don't know if I cut them wrong, or if I pressed them wrong, or sewed them wrong. I could not make this to work. And I told her, I said, my head just exploded. I couldn't get this working. So I decided to go with something a little more traditional. And if push came to shove, I suppose you could do this by sewing machine, but wow, what a pain that would be, because these are pretty small hexies. If you're doing 3-inch hexies, you could probably do them by sewing machine. So now I just put 3 stitches in this corner, right? You saw me do that? I'll put one more just to make sure, because this is what helps make your joints tight with your English paper piecing. Now we're going to lay it out again. So there's our wreath, and this is the only part now that we have to sew. So I'm going to push that back and turn it around. And now I'm going to work from my dominant hand to my non-dominant hand, right to left. Like I say, if you're, you know, left-handed, you're working the other direction. But, and you put 3 in right on that joint. You want to pull as much fabric into that joint and kind of make it puffed out by putting all that thread there to close up any joint and seam, right? So you're not looking at a, you know, a big floppy seam or anything like that. So, yeah, because that's kind of important. And, let's see. And because you've changed directions, right? I mean, you're going to have this done in no time. Now, this did not take long. It took me like 2 days because I kept getting interrupted with 15 other different things. So, you know, I would get a seam done, and then I have to go do something, and then I would get another seam done, and you know, that kind of thing, right? Those kind of sewing days. And I thought, okay, this really only took a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half, all total, right? So is it too much? Is it too much hand sewing? Maybe, if you've got like a lot of problems with your hands. I mean, yeah, it could be a lot of hand sewing. But like I say too, you know, if you can put these down, like once you see if you wanted to, there is a way that you just sew down the blocks beside each other. You take this block and another block and you put it down beside, and you go all the way around. And then basically you're appliquing, and you can do this with a sewing machine. That's another way of doing the EPP challenge part of this, if you don't like it. So, okay, I'm just about at the end. I got a 1/4 inch to go. I should stop talking and just sew. Yes, we are going to see the grandkids this weekend coming up, because it's just before Thanksgiving when we're filming this. I am very, very excited to see them. It's been a while since we saw them, so I'm missing them terribly. I mean, that kind of like, I'm so excited and just like, woohoo! Okay, I'm right at the end, and I'm going to put 3 stitches in the same spot, right like that. Okay, now, I don't want to have a knot right at that end, because it's going to show, the thread's going to show. So what I want to do is I want to slip my needle under and go about 1/4 inch into the seam that I just sewed. So I'm just going in this way, and then I'm going to make a couple granny knots on top of each other just to hold the thread in place. There we go. Yeah, oh, I should make that a little tighter. There we go. And one more. Yay. Okay. There. Now I clip it. Okay. So we did this. We sewed it all. Now, you're sitting there. Now what do we do? Okay. There's a few ways of doing this. You're going to take out, you're going to press it like I would press myself. I would press it really, really well with the papers in. And then you just take your papers. You don't unstitch any of this basting stitch that we did, because I got basting, basting threads on the back. And you just pull this out. You just start pulling them out. And believe it or not, they keep their shape. They keep a shape because you've got the thread basting there. Right now, some of them you gotta finagle a little harder than others, and might have to get a little rough with, because I put a little bit too much glue on that dot to hold it in place while I thread basted. But yeah, this is just very simple little thing to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, now see that's what happens. If you put too much glue, you end up with paper stuck. Now, what I do is I wet it with a little bit of water, and usually that glued paper will come off, right? It's not a big issue. So I'm just going to keep going around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a good press, and then we'll center it on our background piece. I thought this was fun for a kid's quilt, That's kind of a fun neutral with the cats, It's just cute. And then we'll get to the sewing around and the appliquing. I guess I'm going to do like a, just like a, what do they call it? When you do 1/8 of a stitch all the way around, like a sewing machine applique, right? Now, traditionally what they would do is they would hand applique these on, but I don't think people want to do, if you're already objecting to doing hand sewing, chances are you're not going to be thrilled with doing any, hand applique now on top of it. But, I mean, it is what it is, right? But I'm just going to get all of these out, and then we'll get to the sewing. And I'm not struggling hard to get to them. Okay, so don't think that way. All right, we'll give it an iron and line it all up, pin it in place, and I'll be back here to show you how to do the rest. Okay, we're back. We are back with this. And now what I've done is I've put marks on the fabric so I can center the fabric. Now this is more than 12.5 by more than 12.5. So, I wanted it centered, and I'm probably going to have to cut off stuff on each side. That's fine. That's just fine. Now, I pressed from one side, from where I removed the papers, and I used my clapper. Then I flipped it over, right? Pressed it down really good, used my clapper again. So this top thing now is very, very flat. So what I want to do is I want to work on the outside first. Oops. Let me get rid of the board underneath, because I think that's going to be problematic. Okay, so just like that. I'm going to work on the outside first. And then, so all the pins are pointing out. And I did get rid of that paper glue thing that was holding up the works there, just by wetting it. Just by, putting a little drop of water and scraping it with my nail, it came out. There's no worry. So you make a EPP wreath any way that makes you happy, because it's your sewing room and you are queen of your domain. I like that so much, that I'm queen. I'm queen of my domain. Now I'm putting lots of pins here. I'm probably over pinning, but you don't want this to be wiggling as you're sewing either, right? So you want to make sure you have a good, consistent, flat product that you're bringing. And I think this will be very colorful and kind of a creative, fun little block. A lot of people, when my husband was sick in hospital a couple of years back, I harvested all of my EPP size fabrics out of my crumbs. And this was a good way to use it. I have boxes, and hopefully I'll remember to show you the boxes of these. And they're great to pick out because I've got them sorted by color again, of course. And they're great to pull out and just throw together for a little project. The plan is at some point to make quilt blocks out of them, but I'm using them up more as this kind of a project, random fun project. Oh, I guess we should put them there. Turn on my light. Turn on the light. Here, we'll just put it there. Now, here we go. And we'll move this out of the way. Here. So, now I have, find my foot pedal, and we're off. Now I just have white thread, and I probably should have like something like gray. Start in the middle. Don't start on the point. And you just take your time now going around. Now I'm trying to aim for 1/8 of the top stitch there, and that will help us with this quite a bit. And you just keep turning and pivoting around. This is such a, you know, I do, like myself, I do the outside first, but you don't have all that, you know, oodles and oodles of thread you now have to clip out and make a grand mess everywhere, and you're dealing with thread in your vacuum for months kind of thing. You just have, you know, because it's crappy thread, but by the time you're done with this, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it on top. You're not seeing it anywhere. Right? So that's the nice part about this thread basting method. But for long pieces, again, like I said, for long pieces, if I'm doing like big long spikes or something in a pattern, I will go back to the very traditional method of, you know, making sure, because the longer the seam here is, the more likely you're pulling the thread wrong. Something's gonna go wrong, right? So, you know, that's why I say, you know, it's a more secure method. The traditional method is more secure, but you don't need it for everything, you know? Like, it's nice to know a couple of different ways. The gluing method also works really well. I just found it expensive, right? But everybody, you go do you, you go be happy. You know, oh, these are just fun little ideas. And I will show you this. Hopefully you're getting this long enough so you can actually see how this all lays out to make a wreath. I thought about leaving these ones off, but I figured, no, I like them. I like the little unexpected, you know, prongs here on the wreath. Oh. There. Okay. Okay, well, just about halfway. Yes, we are halfway now. Whatever color palette you choose, this is it. Now, if you didn't want to hand piece these, right? This is something you could do. You could lay them out, pin them in place, and then, you know, do the sewing machine applique on them. That would work, right? And or what some people have done is they have left little, like 1/8 gaps or 1/4 inch gaps in between the hexies. That also works. You can also play that way, right? But it's up to you how you want to do this. All I'm doing is presenting you with an idea, and, you know, it kind of hopefully gets your creativity sparked, you know. There. Oh, and the Elmer School glue, as well as the EPP glue, it is easy enough to remove the paper afterwards. They also now have EPP that just stays in. That I have never done. I've never worked with it, but It's kind of a foam, it kind of gives a little foam bump up. Yeah, it's kind of cute actually. There. Now, I use white thread. Now, if you have marking pens, and you just want to color over the white thread, you can. If that's going to give you the right look that you want. That's another thing you can do. Okay. Sometimes you have to hand crank to the pivot. My water bottle is just a little bit in the way. And we're coming up to the last one. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And now we're done the outside. And I'm going to go right up along that seam on the yellow side. And I'm going to go to the middle, towards the middle. And we're going to do this all over again. But I'm not going to make you watch. But this is how, yeah. So that's how you would travel from one side to the middle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these all out. And I'm going to sew them. Give this block another good press to get my dividing lines out. Square it up to 12.5-inch rulers. And we'll meet you for the ta-da moment, because I want to be respectful of your time. But basically now we're going to do the same thing all over again, right, with this, but inside. Okay? We'll catch you at the ta-da moment. Okay, so here's our fun little block that we created. You guys saw how easy this comes together. Sandy, I'm sorry, you might not be able to do this one by sewing machine, but all of the appliquing was done by sewing machine. So, you know, I know. It's people are like, don't do the hand sewing ones. But there's people out there, please do hand sewing. You know, it's kind of like I'm trying to please everybody. So this was our fun one. And the background, I figured, okay, let's do something bright and happy for, it's going to end up in a child's quilt for a charity quilt. And it's going to be fun. Now, this is the intermediate block. Now this block is a lot of fun, and for the life of me I could not get the little picture to draw 6 through and then 5 on each side. I don't know what I did, but I couldn't get it to do it. So it was like, alright, so you have to make 16 of these and you put them together by rows, and then you do that Y seam all the way through on both sides, and it works out beautifully, just beautifully. I'm getting a cold. I'm going to go see my grandkids soon. This is the elongated L. The elongated L shape. And this one is a much harder one to do because you're doing 2 Ys within a very short period of time. But when you're hand sewing, Y seams are really not too much. And then with English paper piecing, they're not difficult at all. So this one comes together pretty quick too. This is where I would stitch through the papers, because these are much longer. This one I was tempted to, but I thought, well, let's just try it without it. And it worked. So, but this one definitely I would put, like, I would stitch through the paper and your fabric, and, you know, thread base. You could probably get away with it by gluing it too. That would probably work as well. But I do hope you're giving these a try, and you're, you know, at least trying to, you know, improve some skills or learn a new skill. These were all sorts of fun. So I hope you stay well and take care until we see each other again. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life and you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your life and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.